Hey, this is Gale Nelson, President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami, the host of The Game of Life. In studio, Super Bowl time. As we prepare for Super Bowl 56, it is special to have a Super Bowl champion in studio, an alumni little brother, alumni big brother in studio, my brother. Two-time Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys, my man Darrin Smith. What's going on, Darrin?
Hey, Gale, how you doing?
That's what I need to have the sound of. He's in the building.
Yeah, he's in the building.
He's in the building.
You know, this is one of my favorite times of the year. Number one, I know we get an opportunity to spend some time together.
Yes, sir.
But it's always that football time, that real deal Super Bowl time. So
now I got to ask you this, Darrin. And as we think about, Super Bowl and all that, and you've played at the highest level. You got the jewelry to show for it. And we're going to talk about that. But how do you transition mentally from playing to now being a fan? Or would you call yourself a fan, or is it just, how do you watch a game?
I love the game, so but I'm always watching, not as a perspective of a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always watching as almost like a coach.
Got you.
And it's probably because I coach. I've coached Little League, had the opportunity to coach your son.
Yes, sir.
And now coaching high school. So I'm always looking at in particular the best players. What's making them special? What's making them different? And that's something I've always done. Even when I played coming up, I watched Junior Seau. I watched Lawrence Taylor. The guys who I admired at linebacker. What makes them special? What makes them different? And so I studied them that way. And so I kind of look at guys the same way now. But I'm doing it in a way to learn how I can coach someone else or teach someone else some of those lessons, or even encourage him, hey, I want you to watch this guy or look at this guy. So I'm watching it. Probably I'm hard to watch football with because I'm stopping, I'm rewinding, I'm looking at what coverage are they in, how is this offense attacking it. So I watch it from a whole different perspective.
And what I love about that, that speaks to, it's a leadership mindset. It's a coaching mindset. Mm-hmm. You never really turn it off because you can learn from, look at what he did there. Let's stop it.
Absolutely.
How he didn't give up and ended up getting a turnover because he punched the ball out.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned a couple, Hall of Famers, the late Junior Seau, Lawrence Taylor. They're relentless pursuit as linebackers. When I think of Seau, he just nonstop.
He made a lot of mistakes, but he covered up for a lot of his mistakes just with effort. And that what used to motivate me. That's one of the things that I'm like, okay, I'm not making any plays right now, but I'm gonna keep going. And people like Junior Seau was the one that kind of, pushed me to do that.
He was the one.
And then eventually you make a play, and then another play comes, and then you get a turnover, and then all of a sudden, you end up with a great game. But it's because you realize, like, hey, I'm gonna put that effort in. I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna keep pushing. But a lot of that comes through, other guys that motivate you.
Absolutely.
That you look to. Yeah.
And you have different styles of leadership, different styles of play. And I keep, again, it goes back to coaching and mentoring as well. You think LT, it looked almost effortless when he goes around, that edge and, just switches the hips. It's just effortless. When you think about just those two linebackers, Darrin.
Yeah. It was too easy for LT, But, it's funny, Gale, because he was the guy who I looked up to, in high school, college. That's the one who I wanted to kind of model my game. Now, LT was 6'5", 245, 250, run like a four. He ran like a deer. So my game was a little different as far as, I think he was like the highest graded linebacker ever to come out of college. Mm-hmm. But so I was just a big fan of his, and I had opportunity. My rookie year was like his last year.
Okay.
So because he plays, a very long time, and so I remember just looking at him I was on the same field with him for the first time ever. We were playing the Giants. I'm just looking at him like, man, that's LT. I'm just like being a big fan right now. It was so exciting. And but the scariest moment I had is I was on the punt team. As a rookie, you do a lot of special teams.
Yes, sir.
And they stopped our offense, and so it was a situation where they kept the defense on the field, like defense is safe. And he was lined up across from me. I was so scared that he was going to pass. I'm not a lineman, so if he rushed, I'm like terrified. Luckily, he didn't do it. I was so happy because I mean, he was still a big guy.
Right.
You know, even that, I don't know, maybe 14 years, 15 years, something like that. He just seemed larger than life to me. And so, you know, just people like that who, you know, you look to, and that's kind of what we talk about even with Big Brother, Big Sister, and all of the mentors in our life. What makes us do what we do is because of the people in our life that motivate us.
Well, on that note, speaking of people in our lives, and someone very special to Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami, someone very deeply, deeply special to you. Your big brother passed away last year.
Yes.
Big brother Seymour Marksman. Let's spend a little time because, one, it goes without saying, and I'll let you tell your story, your mentorship journey, and what that man who took time out to coach you up in the game of life.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Seymour.
It was absolutely the game of life. You know, he was from St. Vincent, so he wasn't much of a football guy. You know, he was, in the Caribbean, football is not as you know the event that he loved cricket.
Cricket, that's it.
He loved cricket, but he loved bowling, and so he got me involved with bowling. He had a daughter who was maybe just a year younger than me, and so we formed a little bowling team. He had the neighbors' kids come over, so we had a little bowling team, and at that time it was at this place called Classic Lanes. I don't know if you remember Classic Lanes.
I don't.
It was right off of 826, right off the expressway, but that was back in the day. But that type of exposure, those type of things, I probably never would have done if not for Seymour. But even more than that, he just taught me about manhood. He really motivated me as far as his education. You know, he was the one that kind of pushed me like, hey, you need to read, you need to, because, you know, in the Caribbean, you know, like here in South Florida, a lot of times we come up as young black boys thinking like sports is the way we're going to make it out. But in the Caribbean, they think education is the key. And so he blended, you know, he was that education side. And I also lost another very close mentor just a couple of weeks ago, Bishop Dennis M. Jackson, who was one of my first Little League coaches. And so he was on that football side.
So you had both.
So I had both. And believe me, I relied on both heavily, you know, to this. I mean, even now, you know, as a 51-year-old now, you know, now losing them both. But, I mean, to the very end, they were very, very impactful in my life, very influential. What I am is really their legacy. You know, I see a lot of things that I do with my children that Seymour did with me and his children, or that Bishop or Coach Jackson, I call him Coach, Coach Jackson did with his children, with his wife, the way I saw Seymour with his, you know, I learned a lot because my mom, you know, I lost my dad, I was 3, and my mom never remarried, so I never really saw that husband-wife relationship in the household. I was the youngest of 5. I never saw that father-son or father-child relationship. So I learned a lot just from watching them and paying attention to them. And you know, I was so thankful that, you know, God brought those 2 men in particular in my life because I just think it was meant to be. You know, those guys were tough. You know what I mean? They weren't, you know, Coach Jackson, he was rough on us, but he always encouraged us. He always motivated us, always made us feel good about what we did. And Seymour, he was the same way, you know, he was on it. You know, he was on you, but he knew when to encourage you. He knew when to lift you up, but he always knew when to check you. You know what I mean? Hey, make sure you get it right. And so now I've learned a lot of those skills and those things that I use with my wife and my family, with my children. And now as a coach, I do a lot of things that Coach Jackson did with us as young people with the children who I work with now, or, well, the young men now because I'm now in high school. So those 2 men, but, you know, they were just so impactful. I'm just so thankful that I had the opportunity to have them in my life.
The legacy of mentoring, and I just recently exchanged a LinkedIn conversation, direct messages with Coach Jackson's son.
Yes.
And so he's now the police chief in the city of Opelika. Shout out to him. And so we're going to start a Bigs and Blue program.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
so we're going to team up on that, Darrin, for sure. Talk to the officers, talk to the littles and the bigs. Because think about that, and you just tell your story about his dad and how he coached you up.
Yeah.
So that's special. And, of course, Seymour's legacy lives on through you. So may they both rest in peace.
Amen.
Their legacy absolutely lives on.
It will. Absolutely. Absolutely will.
Let's talk about coaching. And we're here in the studio, Game of Life Mentoring Podcast. I'm Gale Nelson, President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we jump right in. I didn't even introduce myself. And we're here with two-time Super Bowl champion Darrin Smith, talking about just mentoring in the game of life, coaching in the game of life, and really the legacy of mentoring. Because I saw you coach my child.
That's right.
And you
put the pressure on me, Gale. You were there. You was watching.
I was watching. But, it's so beautiful to see someone who's not kinfolk. Now, we're family,
right.
But when you think about just someone who's not a direct relative, take the time to invest in someone else's child.
Yes.
And you see what that will do on and off the field. Yes. And how you were tough, Coach Jackson. Mm-hmm. You always coached them up.
Right.
And just never, before, whether it's a win or a loss, you're right there teaching. Because what did we learn from this loss? What did we learn from that play?
Absolutely.
You didn't set the edge. That's how he got around you. Mm-hmm. Little things that to this day, my baby boy Brandon, shout out to Brandon with those good hands.
So it was my defensive end, tight end,
that's
and
exactly,
linebacker.
That's right. And you did something in one game. It was a playoff game, I think, up in Deerfield. Mm-hmm. You put him back at safety.
That's right.
In the playoff game.
Yep.
You saw something. I'm like, okay. And he got the pick.
He got it.
Game over.
B had some hands, man. He had the best hands, bro. And I think a lot of that is from his basketball skills as well.
Correct.
So
correct.
And as a coach, you got to be able to see things sometimes. That even that child may not even see in himself. That's what happened to me with Coach Jackson. I heard him talking to my mom one day. Because sometimes he would pick me up and drop me off. If my mom couldn't take me to practice, if she was at, running late to work or something like, he would stop by, grab me. And one day I heard them talking, and I heard him say something that probably changed my life forever. And he didn't say it to me. He said it to her. He said, Darrin is special. And that was the first time I ever heard anybody say that I was special. Mm. And so... I remember from that point on, when people would say, you too slow, you too small, you too this, you too, all those negative comments. But the thing that I remembered, but Coach Jackson said that I was special. Mm. And so that's the thing that kind of kept me going. If he thought I was special, maybe it's something to this thing. Because I never really saw myself as this, really great football player. But he did, and he kept saying, "Oh man, good job," or "You did this great and you did that great." And literally get all the way up to high school. I never really saw, what other people saw. You know what I mean? I thought I was pretty good. I was okay, but then University of Miami Florida State, LSU. I'm like, wow, all these people sending me letters and mail, and Tennessee, and I didn't really see it, but. People like Coach Jackson were the one like, hey, man, you special. Keep working. And so, but he also kept me humble, too. He wouldn't allow me to get big-headed. He like, hey, man, stay humble, keep working. You could do this better. You could do that better. So that's why I try to, teach these young men now that same type of thing. I try to see something in them, and that's a prayer, really, that I have.
Absolutely.
For my children. Like I'm always praying, Lord, don't let them do what I want them to do, but help me to see what you planted in them to help nourish the gifts and the talents that you gave them so that I can help them be what you want them to be. And like I tell my son, hey, man, you don't have to play football if that's not what you – now, he loves it. He wants to play football. That's his thing. Matter of fact, earlier when he was younger, I was like, hey, man, let's go throw the baseball or let's go – but he was like, I want to play football.
Love it.
And so I was like, well, if that's what you want to do, man, I want to be involved. I want to help you. And, the great thing is I've been there. I've been through, the national championships in college and the national and then the Super Bowl rings. I've lived a great life. Football has been great for me. And it has opened up opportunities and doors I probably never would have had if not for this game of football. And so my goal is, my prayer, I want to be able to give these young men the same opportunity that I had. That was it. If it's just the opportunity to go to school, go to college, hey, let's take that. And it may not even be an NFL dream, but if you have opportunity to go to school and use this, because that's what it was for me. I wanted to be an NFL player. I didn't necessarily think I was good enough to be, but I knew because of Seymour, I wanted to go to college because that's what he said.
You had no choice
exactly.
Because your Coach Seymour, your big brother's like, no, you're going to take care of it. You're going to read these books.
Exactly.
And you're going to get that education.
Oh, that was the standard. That was set. It was no doubt that was what I was going to do. Now, my issue was, how was I going to do it?
Right.
How am I going to be able to afford it? But then Coach Jackson, like, hey, you special. So maybe this football thing can help me to get to that education thing. And that was really my game plan. And, you talk about the game of life. That was my motivation. And then, it got to college, worked out pretty good.
Well, let's talk about how that worked out. And you just coaching for a minute, because you coach.
Yes.
And we're going to come back to just some of the things you see in these young men that you coach. Let's stay there. We're going to call an audible right now, Darrin.
Okay.
Congratulations, your team. You're a part of a coaching staff, and these young men. Is it Chaminade Madonna just won that state
college prep? Yep.
Go ahead. What did you all just do?
We won a state championship.
Congrats.
And I'm so blessed. This is my first year on this staff, but it's shout out to Coach Jones and the entire coaching staff. It's a great group of guys, man. They welcomed me with open arms. Didn't hold anything against me. Because it's sometimes. They had won the state championship, I don't know what, 3 years, 2 out of 3 years anyway. So, my goal coming was just to, how can I help? How can I support? But, sometimes, people come in, a guy who say, NFL and all those type of things, it may be like, I don't know about this guy, but I mean, from day one, man, hey, Coach, hey, and they allowed me to be involved with the staff, and Coach Joe Ballard is the defensive coordinator with the team, and he's always like, hey, what do you think? And give me some ideas. I mean, humble dude, great guy. And so I just appreciate, coaches like that who aren't, and truly coaches who are doing it for the kids.
Right.
Who their excitement comes when kids sign a scholarship. That's the fun part. It's great to win. They love winning. We all love winning.
Right.
That's life. But when these kids get the opportunity to go to school, that is the win, the biggest win for this team. And so that's, I love being a part of it. Being stepping up to young men in high school. It's a little different than Little League. So the issues change.
Yes.
The focus is tougher to stay focused.
Right.
And there's life issues, family issues, home issues.
You got this young man who's talented,
Exactly.
knows he's talented, knows he's quote unquote special, who may not put forth that effort. Have you seen that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I've seen guys ultra talented, not with the same effort. But then I've seen some young men who've never been told that they were special, who've never been told that they're great. And you give them a little boost of confidence. And man, I saw one young man this year go from last year, he barely played, first team all county this year. You know what I mean? And so all he needed was maybe a little bit of confidence, a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of guidance. I try to give him little cheat sheets. Like I say, I'm always studying to see what I can feed, those young men that may help them to play a little faster, to be prepared. Because that was my thing. I had the opportunity to play in the NFL for 12 years, and a lot of it was because I was a student of the game, because I was prepared, because I studied. And so, great thing about, Coach Jones is he encourages his team to be prepared as well, to watch film. And like when I was in high school, we didn't really watch film like that. Now they want you to watch film. They want you to be prepared. We go to practice and we're focusing on game plan. It's almost a college atmosphere, So I think with that, is one of the reasons why Chaminade has won state championship the last 3 out of 4 years. We had the opportunity to play this year at the Geico Bowl against the state champion of Arizona. We played them in Las Vegas, and we went out there and we took care of business. And so it was like a bowl game, but it was so exciting. You know what I mean? It was so much fun as a coach to have these type of opportunities and to see these young men with the opportunities to travel to Vegas. And, you know, this past season we traveled up to Beaufort, Georgia and played them. We traveled up to Sanford, Florida, and played the similar. It's
a great experience.
It's a great experience to take on these type of teams. That type of. I remember when I first saw that schedule, I was like, "Wow, this is gonna be tough." But we came out of it with just one loss on the season and won the state championship again. And so I'm actually looking forward to getting started again. You know, I had such a great time with this team and these coaches, and I'm looking forward to. I think we had 13 kids sign scholarships this year.
That's incredible. See, that's the end game.
Exactly.
We've focused here on this Game of Life Mentoring podcast on your personal journey. You know, Coach Jackson, your big brother Seymour, coaching in education, coaching in sports, but put it all together. Your playbook, if you will, in life, Darrin. Yep. Attention to detail, hard work, and the encouragement. About how old were you when Coach Jackson said you were special? When he told your mama
I was like
you were
9
special?
years old.
But you will never forget that.
Never forget it.
You were told you were special, and it's not lost on me. We got two black men here in studio. Black History is every day, but as we celebrate Black History Month and we talk about mentoring and people in our lives, to have a man in your life, you lost your dad when you were very young, but to have a man say that to your mother, you know your son Darrin is special.
Wow, that was powerful, and I was angry at that time. You know, that was at a time where not having my dad, seeing other kids with their dads, seeing other kids at the park with their dads, playing catch with their dad. You know, that was a little anger in me because I was confused because I lost him so young. At 3, I never knew him. Yeah. And so, and I think it was a kind of protection mechanism between my mom and I because we never talked about him.
Right.
I didn't say anything. I wondered. I didn't say anything, and she didn't say anything, probably not sure how to explain to me.
To protect you.
Exactly. And so there was some confusion with me, like, well, what's going on? Why isn't my dad around? And then my brothers were 6 and 7 years older, so there was a gap.
Right.
You know, they were like, they were like teenagers doing their own thing, you know. So,
right.
So, you know, but now the fun part was, I wouldn't say fun at that time. The tough part was growing up with them, they would always want me to play football with them. And so I was kind of like the battering ram. I was the dummy.
I was about to say. Yeah. Stand right there.
Yeah, stand here. Or, you know, when we play, Kill a Man, you know, I was always, they want me to get the ball so they can lay it on me.
Lay you out.
Yeah, but, hey, you know, you ask them now. Yeah, that thing
return
changed.
the favor.
Yeah, that thing changed.
The little bros grow up.
Absolutely. And so, but that helped me. I think that helped me too, though.
No doubt. And Darrin, I tell you what, you know how I feel about you. And as I think about so many little brothers and so many kids who might have lost a parent, or maybe the parents are alive and just separated and they're dealing with so many domestic challenges.
Right.
Then they act out in school. Then it affects their grades. And so now the end game is a whole lot. You may want to go to college. You may play a sport, but you're acting out. Again, insert mentors.
That's it.
Insert coaches. Because and sadly, you know as well as I do, a lot of athletes, not limited to athletes, but a lot of athletes have sadly had a crash and burn kind of ending because they didn't handle something the right way, or relationships, or they didn't get drafted because of character issues and all of that. See, you went to college.
Right.
And you earned, keep me honest, a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from the University of Miami.
That is right. That is right. And again, that mentor, that guy named Seymour, you know.
That guy named Seymour. There goes that mama, there goes that man.
You know, it was, hey, get everything you can get out of this situation. You know, so, I mean, from day one, when I was a freshman, we were talking about how do we get a master's degree.
Look at that.
You know, so because he was like, listen, you know, the chances, he was real with me, the chances of making it to the NFL is, you know, not that great. And, you know, I wasn't trying to hear that at that time, but I paid attention to what he said and I listened to him. So he's like, this is how we should do it. Let's try to get your master's degree. It can happen. And, you know, I was blessed to have the academic advisor for us at that time was Dr. Anna Price. And Dr. Anna Price, she took me in like I was her son, you know, and so even maybe broke a couple of the rules for me, you know, like, no, let's make sure you're here and you're doing that, and let's put you on this path. And it just, you know, but she was like that with all of us, you know. We and at that time, I think we were one of the top schools as far as, you know, our GPAs and our graduation rates is because she, you know, as a African American woman dealing with, you know, these African American men on a predominantly white campus, I think she, you know, took it as, hey, we got to make sure our young men get their grades and get everything that they, because she sees it all the time too, that very few make it to the NFL, even from the University of Miami. You know, we had a good run, but, you know, it's not guaranteed. And even if you make it to the NFL, you know, the average career of an NFL player is 3 years.
3 years.
So
you better have a contingency plan.
That's right. You're going out of college 22 years old and you retired by 25. You got a long life to live. You know, so having people like Seymour and Dr. Anna Price who like, here, get them grades. And I was able to get it even before I was at Dallas drafted. So, you know, we came up with a way to make it happen and stuck to the plan. And so I'm always trying to, when I go back and I talk to these young men, I'm always telling them, hey, get everything that you can out of this, you know, while you can, because they're going to get everything out of you.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
You know, they're throwing up buildings and all these type of, you know, coaches making all these type of salaries and all those things. Yeah, money come from somewhere.
It's yours.
That's right. So you gotta get yours. And so, you know, that's why I'm so thankful that I have mentors, you know, in my life who just kept motivating me. And I thank God that I was just willing to listen.
That's right.
I had people who I would just listen to.
The blessing of mentors throughout your life.
Yes.
The man you are today. We'd be remiss. We started the show showing some jewelry. We started the show talking about the rings. Darrin, as we approach this upcoming Sunday, Super Bowl 56, Los Angeles, California, SoFi Stadium and all of that, 2 teams. You know, I'm from Ohio, you know, so you got Cincinnati and then, of course, the Rams. And how interesting is it that back-to-back you have the home team playing the Super Bowl in their stadium?
It's amazing.
I mean, that could be, I think that would be a record if the Rams win, to have 2 back-to-back teams winning the Super Bowl in their home stadium. I'm not sure if that would be a record or not, but I would.
My wife thinks it's some kind of conspiracy.
Maybe shout out to your wife.
My wife Kim, she like, no, this is set up.
This is my goodness.
I was like, nah, I don't think so, babe. You know, like, but she's like, no, they made this happen. I'm like,
it's quite interesting. I tell you what. So now let's talk about your Super Bowl experience, because again, what it takes to get there. You know, you have this. You know, the world. It's an entertainment spectacle.
Right.
It is a business juggernaut from sponsors to everything else.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, the bright lights come on at kickoff, the flash bulbs, if you will. No, I'm dating myself with flash bulb, but you understand the analogy, brother.
Absolutely.
At kickoff, that experience. You've talked about mentorship from you as a little boy to now a man. You went to college. You got your education. That's not lost. For all the littles listening and all the parents, coaches, teachers listening, you know, you got your education.
Absolutely.
Football wasn't your life. It was part of your life.
Absolutely.
But now, because of your hard work, attention to detail, listen to Coach Jackson, listening to your big brother Seymour, when did it hit you? Like, this is the quote-unquote mecca of football. Talk us through that, Darrin.
You know, it was interesting. When I first, I'll go back all the way to my rookie season.
Okay.
Because we made it to the Super Bowl my rookie season.
I tell you, you spoiled.
I was spoiled. But that first game of the season, we played against the Washington Redskins, and it was a Monday night game. We lost that game, but I made a tackle in that game, and it was Art Monk. And I think Art Monk was in the NFL when I was like a little kid. I don't know how long Art Monk played.
55 years.
Yeah. But I couldn't believe that I'm, you know, tackling Art Monk. And I'm like, this is Art Monk. Man, and that went on throughout the season. We played San Fran, and I'm like, oh, look at Jerry Rice. And so I was such a fan. But you get to the Super Bowl, and I'm a rookie, and I'm starting in it. It's like I'm like, this is unreal. This is how does this happen? But I was around some great guys. Again, you talk about mentoring. I had teammates who were like mentors to me. Like, when you see the way a guy like Michael Irvin works, hard worker, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. I'm looking at these superstars, but they were hard workers, attention to detail as well. And so when we got to that game, I just felt like, oh, Buffalo don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. I'm around the Eric Williams and Nate Newton and Mark Tuinei and Mark Stepnoski and Jay Novacek. And I'm like, they don't have a chance. Charles Haley, Tony Tolbert, Darrin Woodson. I'm like, oh, we got the squad. And so when we played in that game, man, and they tell you try to treat it like a regular game. They try to tell you that. But man, when that national anthem gets played and the fans are screaming and like you say, the light bulbs are flashing, and in that whole week, reporters from Germany or Australia or Japan or China are talking to you like this is the event in the whole world, and everybody is watching it. And so it could be overwhelming, it could be overwhelming. And I think probably after the first quarter, I kind of calmed down a little bit and caught my breath. I'm like, hey, are you having trouble breathing? I can't breathe good. So just trying to relax and get used to it and let the game come in. It was a good game. Buffalo played pretty good that second game. We played it in Atlanta.
Right.
The year previously was a blowout game.
That was one out in L.A., wasn't it?
Yeah, out there in California,
That's right.
So that was a blowout game. But this one was much tougher. Actually, I think it was like 13-6 at half. We may have been even down, or maybe just
for the second one you were down.
The second one, yeah.
But let's go back to the coaching as well.
Uh-huh.
So for the first Super Bowl, you were under your college coach,
That's
Coach
right.
Jimmy Johnson.
Absolutely, my man.
No doubt about it. So did he change his style from the U to now here you are in the locker room getting ready for the Super Bowl, if you will, in 1993?
Now Jimmy was the same. Jimmy is how he is, but the way he is, his philosophy is why he was so successful. I think one of the greatest things about Jimmy, man, he knew how to work with people's mind a little bit. He was there. He knew how to push the buttons. He knew when to pull you back or push you up. There are times where we played great and thought we were the greatest team ever, and he was like, man, that wasn't nothing. Y'all, we need to run y'all extra. You're like, huh? Then there were games like we played terrible, and you think, oh, no, he's finna go off on us. He was like, hey, man, y'all take an extra day off. And so it's just like you didn't really always, you didn't know what to expect sometimes with him, but he was brutally honest. And that's what a lot of the players respected about Jimmy. Once he said something, you knew that's really what it was. And unfortunately in this business, you don't always get that from coaches. And so you knew where he stood. Now, I knew from University of Miami how he was. Mm-hmm. And so it was funny to me when I went to the NFL to watch these other guys from all these other colleges have to deal with somebody like Jimmy. I was like, yeah.
You're going to find out soon enough.
He's different. Like if he say, the next time you do this, I'm going to cut you, it's going to happen for real. I saw Jimmy cut a guy for, falling asleep in a special team meeting. And I tried to wake the dude up. I'm like, hey, man.
Jimmy's not
Jimmy
playing.
don't play with that special team because that was kind of his baby with special teams.
Yeah.
The special team, he was a defensive guy, but at Dallas, he was involved with the special teams as well. We had one of the best special teams coaches, Joe Abizano,
Absolutely.
who passed away as well. But Jimmy, that was that was kind of like his baby. He get involved with that with the players, but. I just, I learned a lot of life lessons from him too. There's things that I learned. The game of football itself is such a life lesson.
It is.
The things that I do now, a lot of the disciplines that I had from football, I apply to my life now. Because it wasn't easy always having to get up when nobody else was up, training and working out and eating a certain way and or doing certain things. And now I have the opportunity to do that. I work in ministry with
Yes.
an organization called Athletes in Action, and it gave me the opportunity to be a team chaplain for the Dolphins for 4 seasons, and work with the University of Miami now, different sports, even coaches, and also Florida Memorial University. Worked as a chaplain with the baseball team, and so those same disciplines that I had from sports is what I roll over now when I'm preparing, say a study with the young men or preparing to speak somewhere or coaching, spiritually coaching guys.
That's right.
So
Game of life.
Game of life. And so, man, this, and again, that balance of Seymour and Coach Jackson still comes in along with my mom, because my mom was a big factor in my life as far as just seeing her character, her love, her compassion for people, her forgiveness, because my father was killed when I was young. And she taught me forgiveness about, the way she showed that she forgave the person who killed my father. I learned a lot through that, because it wasn't until maybe I was 23, Gale, that I finally forgave the person that did that.
Right.
And it was a conversation me and her had.
Wow.
Yeah. So that thing I kept with me for many, many years.
Yes.
And then we finally just opened up and talked and dealt with it. And she showed me a picture of forgiveness in real life. And so, she's been probably the biggest role model in my life, along with Seymour and with Coach Jackson.
And your mom trusted us with you.
Yes.
She trusted Big Brothers Big Sisters with you. And as I sit here across from you, I've met your beautiful mother. And when you forgave the murderer, the one who took your dad away from you, that was probably a load lifted from you as well.
It was.
I mean, it's a process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there's kids who struggle with their own mental health because of anger, because of loss, with the pandemic, social isolation, depression, anxiety.
Yes.
So, Darrin, what you're talking about, just simply mentoring.
Yes.
If you only have one parent in your life, do what you can with what you have. You could have given up. You could have easily been another statistic, Darrin. But look at you. Super Bowl rings, husband, father. Wait a minute now.
Don't forget these.
Okay, so let's add that jewelry. Let's do real time, because Laji. Shout out to my man Laji in the studio. So before there were the 2 Super Bowl rings, there was 2 rings from the U.
That's right.
And so now that little boy that played football at Scott Lake, right?
That's it.
Then you went on to North Dade. Then you went on to Miami Norland. Yep. So you were a Viking, a Bulldog, then a Viking again, and then a Cane.
Yep.
So tell me about that experience. So now, but before you were at Atlanta, and then of course LA, then Atlanta, and the Super Bowls respectively, where'd you win these these national championship rings?
The first one was '89. We played against Alabama.
Heard about that school.
At the Sugar Bowl, yeah. And then the second one was '91. We played against Nebraska here in the Orange Bowl.
Wow.
And that's, Nebraska was a juggernaut at that time, and we were able to shut them out. And so we were rolling. And, but it's always the tough one is the one we should have had, because the following year is when we lost to Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. So we had a chance to win 3 national championships. I mean, we were right there. But, you live and you learn, and you learn from losing sometimes too.
Yes, sir.
You respond, you learn how to respond. And but, those were some, growing up, I've been truly blessed, been around great teammates, great coaches, who have really impacted my life. And so, God has given me the opportunity now to give back.
That's right.
The things that were given, just poured into me.
That's right.
Now I have an opportunity to do those same things. First of all, with my family, with my kids, and then also with other young people. So,
well, to whom much is given, much is required.
Amen.
And as we think about your journey from mentorship to scholarship to citizenship and all that you've done, for those out there who say, well, I don't think I have much to give to a child, and I'm not, quote unquote, trained to be a mentor. Darrin, in the game of life, we need as many mentors as we can.
Absolutely.
Talk to those out there. Coach them up, Darrin.
The biggest thing that I learned, Gale, and even, when I had opportunity, when I was the biggest thing was just listening. It's not necessarily raising them. It's just a lot of times they just need someone to listen to them, an ear. Sometimes it's tough, depending, the household could be challenging. And you may be in a circumstance where a parent, like you say, is working, maybe 2 jobs, it's just them, they have other kids, or, a situation where the kids just need someone to listen sometimes. And that's really what Seymour was for me initially. He just kind of listened to me. Now I was quiet, but eventually, I opened it up to him and started talking with him more, and it wasn't. Seymour, it even wasn't like we played a lot of sports. Like he was working me, but it was just life, just living.
That's right.
And a lot of things that I was learning from him, just being around him. Not that he had to do anything special. Just like I've had opportunity to talk to a lot of other bigs, and that's one of the things that I always encourage them to do. Man, just because I've had. And the crazy part is I've had a doctor who I was getting treated one time, and he was a doctor, and I've saw him here a couple of times. He's a big.
Okay.
And I was sitting in his office, and we were talking, and I don't know how Big Brother, Big Sister came up. He said, "Well, I'm a big brother." And I said, "Well, do you know Gale?" "Yeah, I know Gale." And so we just started talking, and now he's Hispanic.
Okay.
And his little is Haitian.
Okay.
And so he feels like, I'm not connecting. I don't know. I was like, just listen to him. More than he's just soaking in everything that you're giving. You know what I mean? Just being around him. And I saw him, matter of fact, at our event here a couple of years ago at the Super Bowl event.
Yes.
And he was just thanking me. He was like, I see what you're saying. The difference is just being there. Is the big difference. A lot of times we feel like, oh, we got to be their dad and their mom. No, that's not really what it is. It's, you're just being another influence, another person who can give them positive impact. And so that's what I was trying to be. That's what I try to be with the people I'm around. Just how could I, just be positive, encouraging, and loving. So that's why you saw the way I coach. My style may be a little different. I try to be a teacher. Encouraging teacher, because that's what I got a lot of. Now, I had some coaches that was rough. I had my first coach almost made me not ever play football again. But when I got around coaches like Coach Jackson, he would, one of the things he would do, man, he would read, like after the game, the next day when we would practice, he would read off stats. Darrin had 4 tackles and he did this, and he made it so exciting. The kids just
hyping them up.
Oh my goodness! I know I only had 1 tackle. You know what I mean? But he gave me 3 or 4 more just to make me feel good. And so that was the type of things that he did. And, the other kids that were around us loved that. And it excited us. It made us want to play for him, And so that's why I try to do those things with my kids.
A little bit of time.
That's it.
A little bit of encouragement.
That's it.
The words that the coaches may not even realize that the littles are hearing, their players are hearing, their students are hearing.
Yes.
The neighborhood kids may hear, you're special.
That's it.
These kids are soaking it up. The advice you gave to the other big brother who's a doctor may come from different backgrounds, different experiences, but it comes down to, I'm here for you. That constant.
That's it.
And so in the game of life, we all need a playbook. We all need coaches and mentors in our life. Thank you for your service, Darrin, as a big brother. You are a survivor. You are you're the total package, brother.
Thank you, man. I give all the glory to God.
Amen.
And even having people like you in my life, we've been knowing each other a long time.
Yes, sir.
Even, you were around our match, way back in the day.
That's right.
And I think you were involved when I think me and Seymour spoke at a Dolphin deal. I was little.
There's a lot of experience.
Yeah, I was like a teenager
That's
at that
right.
time. Yeah,
That's
so
right.
So that's why Big Brother, Big Sister always been near and dear to my heart, just because of the impact that is made in my life, and I know there are other lives that this organization has impacted. So that's why I want to give props to you, your team, this organization, and all that they do, because it is changing lives.
It's a blessing to serve. You want to join the team, bbbsmiami.org, because life can rock you like a hurricane, Darrin.
Amen.
Or you can be victorious.
That's right.
With mentors on your side. Let's go. Hey, this is Gale Nelson, President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami, the host of The Game of Life, where everybody makes the team, but how you play is up to you.